Three, two, one. Yeah. Wait. You gonna do it? Come on, Facebook.
I thought you were talking to me. I'm trying
No. I'm not waiting on you. There it goes. Wow. That took a minute. Okay, I think we're good. You see it?
I'm looking for my Facebook.
Yeah, we're good.
There's that guy. I know that guy.
10 seconds of me going,
So I'm allowed to share this again, which is good. We're weird. Right? No. Shit. All right. Well, what's up, man?
Oh, boy. Welcome to the Living NLP podcast. My name is Nicholas Rave. This is Morgan Bennett.
I see. Is that how it is?
I'm good. How are you doing, man?
I don't know. You tell me. You seem to know my name.
Yeah. Did we talk about your birthday last time on the show?
I don't think so.
I don't remember. So happy birthday, motherfucker.
Thank you. That was a week ago, but thank you.
Another rotation around the sun.
Indeed. And yeah, it was awesome. I feel good about life and things. And, I mean, I did get some glasses like we talked about last time. These are different ones. These are my Wayfarers, man. They're turning dark. But I'm all about it, dude. I don't get it. People are like, oh, glasses are good. I'm like, nah, I want to see. And if that's me making seeing happen go, then fuck, I'm doing that all day.
Yeah. Well, I've heard about some methodologies that you can use to like regain eyesight that you've lost.
Yeah.
I just have never found
the interest. For astigmatism though? Because I have astigmatism. Like
maybe, I don't know.
It's not like my eye muscles are I don't know. I don't think this is that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think it's like the shape of your eyes weird. One of my eyes is weirder than the other one. And it's like, I'm all for doing exercises. And they have eye exercises like look up, look out, look forward, look back. Like I started looking into that, but I'm all about glasses now, man.
Yeah. Well, and I'm the same way with you. Like I don't actually need them for up close. Like I can see all this perfectly, but even just looking out the window here, I'm like, it's just a green. There's gray plants right outside my.
No, well, speaking of that, one of my favorite things to watch. I don't watch that much, but I mean, if you want to make me cry.
Oh, the colorblind videos?
It's the videos of people getting gifted those colorblind glasses.
Yeah.
I fucking love it so much.
Yeah.
It's the shit we take for granted. I take for granted. And they're just like,
cochlear implants, you know what that is?
Yeah, I saw a baby
those ones get that.
Yeah, and it's like
those ones get me too.
Yeah. And that's why it's like and that's why I'm so happy to wear my glasses, because I appreciate my senses. And I want to be like, yeah, I can see all these details of life and the things that, and be grateful for them. It's even the more detail I see, the more there is for me to be grateful for it. Which is why when I watch those videos, it's just like, so beautiful. And because we also, our job as NLPers, NLP nuts, is to help people with their own sensory filters and inputs. That's another reason why I'm like, because it's basically helping someone change the meaning of the information coming in on a level that, they might not have been able to do without the external stuff. It's a metaphor for kind of like what we do.
There's definitely something about gratitude and appreciation for just life and existence and your eyes. Like Wayne Dyer, are you a Wayne Dyer fan? I don't know if you
from the way back.
Him much. Wayne Dyer was one of those guys that I never found a chink in his armor, so to speak. Like he always seemed like everything that I heard about him was he seemed legit. He seemed like he actually walked his talk in a way that a lot of people.
I would sit and watch his ass on PBS late at night.
Yeah,
I'm just like, what is it? Oh, it's this guy again. Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
All right.
I dig him. So he had this thing about like having a part of your body that you appreciate every day, and like 365 organs or capacities or things. And he's like, every single day you should pick like a holiday to celebrate. Oh, it's kidney day. What do my kidneys do? I'm going to learn about my kidneys, and I'm going to appreciate my kidneys. I'm going to tune into my kidneys and say, thank you, kidneys. And like, I love that. I love that idea.
Yeah, I'm all about it. Just more gratitude, more sensory input, more. So yeah, man. Well, here on the Living NLP podcast, we like to structure our little wank off by basically just spewing love for NLP and hypnosis and all things self-empowerment and self-development having to do with words and images in your noggin. And we have structured our little talks by saying we're going to say an anecdote, whatever, something that happened to us in our week, work-wise or life-wise, and then some kind of quote that we came across that sort of reminds us of the power and the glory of the human noggin. So,
I'll go first.
Okay, cool.
Did I mention last time that my little pod here, we started a new practice about our educational training? Yeah, so we're going through some Richard Bandler stuff right now. Nice. And this last week, one of the things that Bandler talked about was, I'm summarizing a bit here, but he said, nobody comes with a user's manual. Like, we have to make our own owner's manual. And he goes on to say that the owner's manual is not something that can be given to you. You actually need to discover your own owner's manual. And he was talking about the idea of emotions. So he's talking about when negative emotions come into your body, when they start, where do they come from? What do they do? And when they leave, where do they go? And then also the same thing with positive emotions. And he was talking about that awareness is the owner's manual, is learning, instead of being like, I have anxiety, I have a pattern that I run in certain situations. When does it happen? What's the trigger? What types of situations set it off? And when it gets set off, don't even give a word to it. Just, where is it? What does it feel like? What does it do? And especially, where does it go when it leaves? And then he talked about reversing it and doing that for positive and empowering emotions. So I was thinking about how this, to me, is the crux of emotional self-awareness, like gaining the ability to understand your own internal experience. So I took this lesson and I applied it with a client that I saw a couple of days ago. And we ended up trying to remember the specifics of the pattern. It was a trigger around being disrespected. So I could talk a little bit about, I run into this pattern of people being like, that person disrespected me. And I have I have a perspective on disrespect that is, no one can disrespect you unless you define what they are doing as disrespectful. I believe that it is impossible for me to be disrespected because I don't choose to define. If somebody spits in my face, literally, I don't think that I will feel disrespected. I might feel something, but I'm not going to feel. Disrespect is the feeling of, how dare you? Like, don't you know who I am?
Yep.
And I run into so many people that get sucked into this. It's almost like that Marty McFly Back to the Future thing of like, what are you, chicken? And people are there. They can't control it. They get sucked into this thing because that person disrespected me and I need to show them. So instead of going back and rolling around in this person's trauma and all the ways that their parents disrespected them and their teachers and their, bullies at school, instead, we just started looking at what triggers it. Like, what is the strategy? We did the whole logical levels. Teach me how to do it, right? We're going to hire someone to play you in a movie, and they're a really method actor. They need to know how to play everything that you do, both outside and inside. So when you get this feeling, where does it come from? So it started with when I feel like someone's doing this to me. And, and, oh, and I intentionally was like, no, don't get into the words. What is it? And it was a feeling. It's like whenever I feel like someone's doing this to me, then it starts with a sharp sensation in my brain. And I'm like, as soon as we got into that, I'm like, oh, this is going to be good. Because if you can get that specific with a strategy, so then where does it go? It comes out to my face, and my face, and she did it. So then I'm like, oh, there it is. You just did it. Your whole face like scrunches up, and you're like, it's like right here, and then it comes down to my finger, and then I'm like, and then she starts talking about words that she wants to say, and I'm like, no, just make noise. Like, what's the noise that this strategy makes? And it's like, and so we're laughing this whole time because I'm like poking fun at it. I'm doing logical levels. And like, so I keep doing this to her. So I'm like, oh yeah, is that what's happening? And so then I'm like, okay, cool. What is an alternative? What would you like to do instead? And the first thing that came to mind was laugh. And I'm like, good, cool, that's fine. And so I sort of took that as like, laughter is definitely more empowering than getting offended or feeling disrespected and giving your power away like that. And also, I can appreciate that maybe laughing is not always the appropriate response. So I was like, well, I think the laughter is more about right now. I don't know if laughter needs to be like amusement is the word that I love so much. Right. I've said this before. You can either be annoyed or amused, but not both at the same time. So if any time you get annoyed, think about how you could be amused by the same situation. So we started. So then it was, so what happens? So they do this, and then you breathe. So the first thing is I feel the sharp point in my brain, and I take a breath. And then instead of like this, it was, and I love utilizing elements of the current strategy, but just modifying them. It's like the old nail biting thing, where instead of, for a nail biting rewrite on the strategy, instead of the trigger happens in your mouth, your fingers come to your mouth, your fingers go like right here. And that uses almost all the same strategy. It's just, whoop, nope, I'm going to do this instead. Right. And I love that instead of completely rewriting it. So it was, and then it was sharp point in my brain. And this feeling, this face was associated with curiosity for her, which I'm like, ooh, good state. And then we took the finger, and I'm like, what happens with your finger? Where does it go? Exactly. She was like, And then the phrase that came out was, interesting. I wonder what happened. I wonder why they are having this response. Instead of making an assumption about it, they're disrespecting me or they're triggered or what, just, get curious. And that side mouth, was all the same facial muscles, just doing something slightly different. And so then I ran through it like 3 or 4 times, and it got to the point where as soon as I did this, she would, and the nice thing about this is this all came up because there's a specific person in this person's life that, I don't want to give too many details away, but there's a specific person that they have to deal with right now who keeps triggering this disrespected, dismissed feeling. So to be able to go, okay, you're going to talk to this person tomorrow, right? So how are you going to respond differently? Let's test it out. Let's try it. And so I had them rehearse that person specifically running this pattern in the way that they do. And then running through the different strategy. And it was a nice reminder, trickled down from Bandler, just being like, it doesn't always have to be about there's value in going back and facing trauma and dealing with those emotional wounds.
Mhm.
And ultimately, it all comes down to human beings are learning creatures. And all the things that we run right now that aren't working are just things we learned. And you can unlearn them. Trauma is just something you learned. And going through the process of rewiring, it doesn't always have to be this laborious, like, excavation. Skeletons. Yeah.
One of my favorite things about the work we do is, like, I've had several people be like, I thought that was supposed to be hard. And on the other side, they're like, I thought that was supposed to be hard. Wasn't it supposed to take longer? No. You were talking about the owner's manual, which I think is great. And I think they have one or two of those owner's manual for the brain kind of things. Sure. So even if there was an owner's manual, most people wouldn't bother reading it. Like, because I just bought a car. I spent a week reading the owner's manual. I buy a phone. I buy a camera. I buy a computer. I'll read the instruction manual. I buy a Instapot, whatever. I'll read the instruction manual. Like, that's what you do, right? Like, no, I found that I'm pretty much on the outside of life with that, because my ex, when she's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm reading the instruction manual. She's like, I never do that. I never read the instruction manual. Like, but why wouldn't you, if you had a, so yes, we need an instruction manual. And like, I like what you said about everybody has to discover their own.
Yeah.
But even when they discover it and it's their own, you still got to read it.
Right.
And
right. Well, the process of self-discovery is the process. It's almost like writing your own owner's manual. Yeah. And it's a weird paradox that even if this isn't true, but even if when you went in and found your own and then compared it to everyone else's, if you found they were exactly the same, which they're not, but even if they were, you still can't go and just ask somebody else, what's your owner's manual? Right. The journey is going in and actually discovering it yourself.
Right. Which for me was, lots of, okay, talk about psychedelics again. When I was younger, I was like, yeah, cool. That works. That doesn't. And yeah, man, I really like that the strategy because most people don't even ever take the time to realize that is a strategy, that there is a thing there's multiple steps there. Yeah. Any one of which can be a metaphor for anything else that you want to change or do. Exactly. And when you empower people to change something like that, then they go, oh, what else am I doing that's not conscious that I can put some consciousness towards training myself to make it unconscious again? That's the goods. And yeah, sometimes it handles it on deeper stuff. We want to make sure we're not just masking something over that's like needs to be sorted, but like nail biting or like things like that. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I sort of see it as like you need to do both, but separating them.
Yeah.
It's great. Like linking the presenting strategies to the deep trauma. Right. I want to separate them. I want to be like, yes, when someone does this to you, it is triggering deep trauma. And guess what? We don't need to deal with that in order for you to change the strategy.
And that's what
we should go deal with it.
Pleasant surprise for people to be like, but we didn't even dig up all that other garbage that I was going to spew all over you. And I'm like, yeah, but what if you could just change your behavior?
Right. And separately go in and deal with the trauma, because that trauma is having a trickle up effect on your whole life. Yes. But you don't to say, I'm never going to be able to deal with someone doing this until I heal all of my deepest wounds.
Right. Yeah.
Well, that's exactly the kind of therapy that most people are used to. And that's like, well, how many years do you have?
Yes. And then like, depending on your therapist.
Yeah, even then.
Well, cool, man.
That was a fun one. That was really fun.
Yeah, mine is kind of along those lines, actually. Same sort of thing. This person is getting very annoyed that now that they're past their breakthrough point and they're beginning to establish boundaries again, they have a lot of people in their life, particularly business, who are not respecting their boundaries. And I'm like, well, first of all, you've trained them to not, like, they're just doing what you've trained them to do.
Right.
But now that it's time to push back and go, hey, this is it. And so he says that, I've told them once nicely, then I tell them again, not so nicely. And then sometimes these people are just, whether it's through the phone or through the computer or whatever, they're just trying to reach out and cross the boundary. That's now, it makes me so angry. I was like, okay, well, and first of all, anger is a good response to having your boundary crossed to some extent. But again, like, what are you going to do about it personally? And through a form of logical levels and strategy, it's like, well, how do you get, like, tell me, how do you, like, what does that mean? Oh, well, they this and I that. Okay. And then I see it and it hurts and all that stuff. I'm like, okay. And again, I was like, well, what would you rather do? This and then I start logical levelings, like poking and just sort of boop, boop, boop. What about boop? And then the laughter comes and it's like, okay. And then, oh, what if you could laugh? And I guess laugh internally is basically the same thing you said about be amused. So not that I need you to go, oh, I got a text from an asshole.
Right. Yeah.
But
Joker laugh.
What if it could make you smile inside? What if you could be like, what if that smile, because you're seeing that, like, you're not answering that. Mm-hmm. So you can either be mad at them because you're not answering it, mm-hmm. or you could be happy with yourself because you're not answering it.
Yes.
And then every time you have this trigger, it would actually be an anchor for you to realize you're the new you. Mm-hmm. So that every time you get one of these annoying texts or emails, because he's like, I'm not answering. I already know I'm not answering. I'm like, wow, how do you know? Because that's not who I am now. Really? Well, what if you reminded yourself of that?
Yeah.
Every time you used to get angry, you can take this trigger and turn it into an anchor, mm-hmm. that only, solidifies the work that you've done, that we've done, that you've gained.
Well, and one of the deeper values that provides is people are often drawing the boundary pushing into their life magnetically on a metaphysical level by getting angry about it. And when you can get to the point where you're like, oh, they're doing that thing and I'm not reacting, you will actually cause that behavior to dwindle more and more and more until it's just not there. I mean, how often do you get people pushing your boundaries? I don't.
Right.
Not very often.
I mean, not until I go, no.
Right.
No.
Right.
And honestly, well, one of my personal training clients is a high-end dog trainer. Mm-hmm. And I go to her house several times a week and I see her dogs. I see the way she teaches them. And she's always got new dogs that are boarding with her that I hang out with. And it's also had a lot of influence on my understanding of, like, I say no, it means no, or you go back in the fucking cage.
Yeah.
I say no, and it means no. I'm not going to ask you again.
Yeah.
I say no, and it means no. And if you do no, then it's good boy.
Yeah.
Right. But it's just like clear this, and it's just clear communication
behavior.
Yeah. Clear communication. Mm-hmm. No, like sometimes this, sometimes that. It's just like, here's a boundary. This is what it is. If you do that, I'll feed you. I'll take care of you. You'll get all the love you want in the world. But if you don't, we're gonna have problems. Yeah. So it's along those lines of me helping him see that he was able to turn his trigger into an anchor, a trigger of badness into an anchor of goodness. Yeah. And it's the same stimulus.
Yeah. It's and then it's like, trigger me more, bitch.
Right. Yeah. And then it's like, what are you going to do with all the energy that he used to spend being angry at yourself, angry at them? Because he used to just always be angry anyway. He would do it, let them cross his boundaries, but he was afraid to do anything. So he was not only angry at them, for what he was allowing them to do. He's angry at himself for allowing himself to allow them to do that to him. So now,
yeah, I'll even make the case with my clients frequently, speaking of dog training, that I think one of the goals for some people at least can be to get to the point where you don't even need the anger, where you find that getting angry is okay. It's acceptable. It's fine. You're not a bad person because you're getting angry. Someone violated your boundaries. But anger is a way, it's an attempt by the animal to manipulate other people's behavior in some capacities, trying to get the thing that's crossing your boundaries to go away. And my feeling is that it's actually more effective to train yourself not to get angry and pretend you're not. That's bad. But to actually get to the place where you're like, I don't need anger to influence people's behaviors. It's
right.
just the consequences.
Right.
Like I can say no. And then the next time they cross the boundary, I can say no again with the same openness and compassion and understanding. But the no this time comes with consequences. And it's not 3 strikes, it's 2. Like 2 times is a pattern. You do it once, forgiven, of course. Twice, now it's a pattern. Now there are consequences. And usually the consequences are elucidated before, so they know what the consequences are going to be. And then I'm just like, okay, well, you crossed that boundary. I'm not mad at you about it. I'm just, no, That's the line, and you crossed it.
So I think I'm more along the lines with that, other than like global economic thing does make me a little angry, but for the most part, my inner world, or even outer world. And again, a big part of that is don't take things personally, which is a thing I had to explain to this guy as well. It's like, you know, be impeccable with your, like, just 4 agreements.
There's a lot of people who find anger to be a valuable fuel, and I have no problem with that.
Well, it worked for a while. Well, like, you know, Michael Jordan, did you ever watch that thing?
The guy who comes to mind for me is Henry Rollins.
Did you watch that?
Yeah, the documentary. Yeah, the Michael Jordan.
Where he was motivated by just the dirtiest, nastiest shit, where he would have to make up lies about other people insulting him just so he could be motivated.
Yeah.
Obviously it works.
To me, I look at it as like, yeah, okay, you might achieve some higher degree of external success, but you're robbing yourself of your peace of mind. And that's why I don't want to get angry about anything.
Yeah, enjoying it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't want to get angry about the economic situation. I don't want to get angry about.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, but it's like I could easily be like, fuckers, but I'm just doing me. So, all right, well, quote me up, Johnny.
Well, I got a good one for you today from a book you gave me.
Nice. Oh, nice. I love that.
This is fabulous. Robert Anton Wilson, the patron saint of the Living NLP podcast. I got a good one. I love this. The idea that all ideas are partly true, partly false, and partly meaningless is partly true, partly false, and partly meaningless.
Nice.
Okay, I got to do it again.
Pretty much.
The idea that all ideas are partly true, partly false, and partly meaningless is partly true and partly false and partly
meaningless. Yep. I'd be like, that's a good one.
There's another quote that I really liked that was something about the universe. In addition to containing a yes and a no, the universe contains a maybe.
Oh, big time.
And man,
he was all about maybe. He used the maybe logic. That was his jam.
If there's one thing that I like lean into in my own philosophy that feels underrepresented in the way most people talk about and think about spirituality and philosophy and psychology, it's fucking maybe, man. Yes. Yes.
So this is Robert Anton Wilson's ring replica that I bought from the trust, and the only thing he had on the back side of it was maybe.
That is one of the ways that it's so easy for me generally. I'm not saying I never get angry. There are definitely situations that make me angry. I'm not claiming that. What I'm saying is there's a lot of situations that make other people angry that don't bother me at all.
Because they're so sure about what, they're certain.
Yeah. Sorry. The way that I do that largely is maybe. I'm just like, well, maybe. Like, I don't know. It's so easy for me to go, I don't have all the information.
Well, you
don't have all the information either. So why are you so certain?
Who doesn't have a lot of maybe? Everybody. Like the team blue, team red. Yep. Everybody's so fucking like, oh, like nuance and maybe don't really go together.
Yeah.
Or nuance and maybe go together. Nuance and maybe and like extreme thinking, or like they're all this and you're all that. And then if you this, you're a Nazi. Like maybe, but like if you this, you're just a libtard. Maybe, but
religion has no room for maybe. The kind of religious scientism also has no room for maybe. Although my argument is true science. Is only maybe.
Right. Yeah. This is what we know for now. Yeah. So all about the maybe. Good. I like that. That's an awesome quote. So your girlfriend asked me for some poetry referrals. And I don't have a lot of recommendations. Like, what the fucking words? Recommendations.
Yeah, we both said Rumi, by the way. You and I both
good. Like that's some of the only poetry I've actually read. And then I was like, oh shit, I'm gonna go through the old stuff.
Oh, are you quoting yourself today?
I'm gonna quote myself today because I spent Saturday reading my old poems. It's like, awesome. Oh my God, this is hilarious.
Awesome.
And it's so funny that like this is what I do now. It's like this. I wrote this poem when I was like fucking 19. So it's like, I see through your eyes, through your transparent lies. I see that which you hide, and I see where you hide it. Your fears have created a room in your mind with no doors, and you're trapped inside it. That's not even what I was going to read to you, but I was like, dude, okay, calm down. To give the mind size is to give the mind limits, even the largest.
Wait. Do that again slowly.
So I'm sorry. So we'll do the other one first. This is what you said. To give the mind size is to give the mind limits. Even the largest of rooms has its walls. Knowledge of self transcends all barriers. You can fly when there's nowhere to fall.
Fuck. Just to give the mind size is to give it limits. Even the largest of rooms has walls. That right there is enough. Like, that is like, okay, I'm gonna sit here for a little while and just let my mind do that. Dude, I gotta say, I really appreciate your Rage of Reason book, and this is the shit that you write that I'm like, oh, that book is good, and it's very very. This stuff is
like I said, this book is my shadow on fire. The other book is coming, but the poetry book is coming.
Do that, please. That book is gonna sell.
The other poetry book is coming. So that wasn't even what I was gonna read to you.
Oh shit.
Because they're all like this. I'm like, geez, dude. I was like this fucking. I was really into my noggin.
Wow, who came up with this?
So this one's says Trippers Rise, which of course is Trippers Rise. Go inside your mind further than you've ever gone before. When you find the mirror, you're halfway there. Stare, glare, see for yourself who you are. Go so far into your eyes that you answer your whys, like WHYS. Understand your reflection with introspection. Your thought is all you've got to get you through. Meet you, love you, fuck you. Now you're nearer, but there's more. See the mirror? It's a door. Shatter it. Shatter it as you cross the threshold to embrace yourself. As the shards fall with nowhere to land, see yourself in every piece at peace.
Dude, that is awesome.
I don't know, dude. There's a lot of the same themes, like falling with nowhere to land and knowing yourself and flying and
so I got to follow up what you said there with another raw quote. This is the Tao of Ra. After years of vehement and passionate study of the ideograms of the Tao Te Ching, I think I have summarized it all into a couple of words. Fuck it.
Yeah.
And if you can't fuck it, ignore it. It'll go away.
Nice.
Yeah. Fuck you was what made me think of that. But dude, when you reach the mirror, you're halfway. When you look so deep into your eyes, you find your whys. The mirror is a door. Dude, write this book.
Oh yeah, it's yeah. All right. Well,
is Lent coming up? Can you do another 40-day thing?
Yeah, right. No, it's actually Easter's coming up, but I have it all fairly compiled. I could put this plus my show, which is together. Yeah, but I was like, I see through your eyes, through your transparent lies. I see that what you hide, and I see where you hide it. It's like, easy, bro. I mean, there's another one because again, I must have been. I guess I was just. I mean, that's the bullshit caller. But where is it? So this one. So behind your eyes. I think this was published in something. Behind your eyes and between your ears is where you've been lost for all these years, restricted by fears, drowning in tears, dying to live before you're dead. Everything ever is all in your head, yours to do with what you choose. If you play the game, know how to lose, that is how you win. You must look at how you look that you might see. All there is to do is be, and the only way to be is free.
You can't go that fast. You must look at how you look. Wait, that you might see. Again?
Okay, so you must look at how you look that you might see. All there is to do is be, and the only way to be is free.
Oh, dude.
Life is an object subject to change, and truth, like beauty, is up to you. Oh. That's cool.
Yeah. Every time you share one of these, there's like one or two.
Right. There's a couple lines that are just like, oh, boom. Yeah. And some of it's fluff of a 19-year-old. But
well, I wonder if you do decide to compile and publish something like this, punch it up, like add who you are now.
Right.
And refine, because like some of these things are so good, they're like, I don't know, poster tattoo worthy.
Yeah.
You know
like
what I mean?
A little niblet of
yeah. So I don't know what the format of this would be, because like I almost feel like a book of that is a lot.
Yeah.
It's almost like you need a narrative structure to lead to some of these points.
Yeah, I know. So so I was going to kind of do it with my book about all the stuff that I do for work, but then go, oh, by the way, here's some of this poetry stuff.
Did you see WandaVision?
No, but I saw a lot of reviews of like
it's not bad. It's pretty good. And there's one moment in it that is like the philosophical crux of the show, and it leads up to this point where, because you've spent so much time with these characters and because you've built up what's going on and because of the context, they drop this line, which is a concept I've heard before, which was, what is grief if not love? What is it? What is grief if not love? Leaving? What is grief? Hold on. What is grief but love persevering? And it's basically, you can't feel the grief if you didn't have the love. And I've heard other people say this before, but it's like they made this whole show to plant this seed in the minds of millions and millions and millions and millions of people. And it truly is a profound idea for people to go, wow, I got to think about that. And even for people who are just like, superheroes, that idea is still in there. And there's so many powerful ideas in what you're sharing in the poetry stuff. I wouldn't want them to get lost. So I wonder how you could space them out in a way. Right. Maybe it needs to be, I don't know, maybe it's music. Maybe it needs to be in song form or something, so that they're even more hypnotic. And I don't know.
Yeah. Still doing my spoken word, because I was doing all that spoken word back then.
Yeah.
Dude, I had a whole giant thing. Did I ever say this thing called I Believe? It's like super long. It's a shitload.
You sent me I Believe. And I also, back when you did the NLP training, you sent me your one-man show, the Save Yourself
Save
show.
Yourself.
And I watched it, and that was like the moment I was like, I think I love this guy.
Nice. Yeah,
I
so
think I love his brain.
That's got to be a good book.
Mhm.
But there's so many things in this, I believe. Yeah, I believe if you think you're crazy more than you think you're not, you are. there's so many things I'm like, oh yeah, this is why I do what I do now. Yeah. I believe objects in mirror may be beauty.
So like it makes so much sense to me that when you discovered NLP, you were like, oh yeah, because even that line of you have to look at how you look,
right, that you might see, that's so
NLP. Yeah.
So anywho, awesome. Find what you love and do it.
All right, well, that was a lovely little circle jerk.
Yeah.
And
this is more like a line jerk.
Yeah.
Like just like two points.
I can't wait to see what you do with this stuff. That's what I'm saying is like,
yeah, me too. So I saw it, and so I'm gonna thank your lady.
Don't let it die. Don't let it.
I want to thank your lady for reminding me, because I was like, oh, shit, all this old stuff. It's like, so I read it on mushrooms on Saturday. I took a little shrooms, a nice little mellow in the house, just like chilling. I was like, I'm gonna read those things. Yeah. And one of them, out of like, I don't know how many there were, one of them was more like a sappy love poem that I wrote to some girl. But the rest of them are pretty much philosophical. You know, one of them's called Neoclassical Psychotheophysics. I'm like, hang on, let me remove my head from my ass just long enough to, but it's like, oh yeah, it's pretty much what it is. It's Neoclassical Psychotheophysics without the physics, probably. So anywho,
oh man,
I'll do something with it.
I laugh because I recognize a very familiar level of pretension.
yeah. But that's what got me there. And another little side note, I'm assisting Igor's symbolic language seminar this weekend.
Way. How'd that happen?
I'm one of the only people.
You took it already and volunteered?
Yeah, well, I was one of the people who was in the test course and loved it and was like, yeah. And then they're like, you want
virtual, I'm assuming?
Yeah.
Cool. Right on, man. Let me know how it goes.
I shall. All right, dude.
Cool. So it's going to be a lot of the, what does that mean?
Yeah. Well, not so much what does that mean, but what is that like?
Oh, what is that like? Right. The symbol.
Right.
And the even I think I tell this story, I don't know how many times, the one about the boat, like, like, I just don't want to rock the boat. What kind of boat? That's my favorite.
Just go back to that boat.
What?
The one you've been thinking about your whole life, but haven't really thought about.
Don't rock the boat. What kind of boat is it?
What kind of boat would you like it to be?
Oh, exactly. All right, dude.
So, all right, man. So thank you, lady. There's a folder of all that stuff if you want to have a couple oohs and a couple laughs.
Share it with both of us.
Well, she's got it. So, like I said, she can spare you the love poem. But if not, I will catch you later, dude.
All right, man. Awesome. Peace, love, and NLP, everybody.
Later.
Bye.